to pass on the word to John Hancock, one of the co-leads of the systems biology community. He's been carrying the community forward for the past years, and it's been great to have his contributions. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Michal. So the aim of my presentation here is basically just to give an introduction into the systems biology community and its context in ELIXIR as a whole. As sometimes it's not always clear, it's always difficult for people to get their heads around everything inside ELIXIR and how the different communities interact with different parts of ELIXIR. So ELIXIR Europe, it's one thing to remember about ELIXIR is it's an intergovernmental organization, so it's funded in part at least by governmental contributions. So it has an open-ended remit. It's not going to finish at some point. It's going to go on for as long as the governments continue to fund it. And its aim is to bring together all sorts of life science data entities, so databases, software tools, training resources, interoperability resources, compute resources, and to support data management, which is a key part of what ELIXIR has been doing in recent times. So the goal is to coordinate bioinformatics resources across Europe and to form an interconnected, to a great extent, virtual infrastructure. So there are 25 countries involved with ELIXIR, full members of ELIXIR at the moment. The numbers are increasing almost monthly. Each node, as they're called, national node, is a national network of excellence, and it contains a number of. Each node has its own set of universities and institutions that are members of it. There are a total of 245 institutes, at least, possibly one more, in ELIXIR at the moment, and the ELIXIR is coordinated from the ELIXIR hub, which is based in Cambridge at the EBI campus, or the Sanger Wellcome campus at Kingston, and this provides the sort of coordinating activities, the secretariat, the management, and so on and so forth. So ELIXIR has a number of different ways of working, different sort of parts of itself. There are 5 what are known as platforms. So these are the sort of 5 streams, if you like, of activities. So compute, interoperability, data, tools, and training. And what we're going to talk about today is mostly the communities within ELIXIR. So I'll come on to that again in a second. So we also have other kinds of activities, focus groups, which are more informal discussion kinds of activities, which build towards future activities in ELIXIR. There are projects which are funded by ELIXIR, as well as projects that ELIXIR participates or coordinates, and a number of different groups of people who coordinate different kinds of activities. So the technical coordinators, each node has a technical coordinator who is tasked with representing the node at a technical level. Training coordinators who do a similar job at the training level, and actually many nodes have node coordinators who are people who have an overview of what the node is doing, as well as the node being headed by a head of node. So there's quite a lot of complexity in how ELIXIR works, and I'll just say a bit about communities. So the idea of ELIXIR communities is that they represent a sort of strand of life science data. So there's on the right-hand side, you can see a circle of the communities that exist within ELIXIR at the moment, or have been recognized by ELIXIR at the moment. Each one of these is, nearly all of them are completely bottom up, but they're all formed by a set of domain experts in a number of ELIXIR nodes, but they may also include non-ELIXIR partners. So one of the strengths of the ELIXIR communities is they form a link with the people who are not part of ELIXIR, but who have similar interests. So thereby they provide a mechanism for long-term collaborations with other S3s. And their aim is to drive service development. So their aim is to evaluate and understand how ELIXIR contributes to their particular area of expertise, and then to try and drive new innovations which improve how ELIXIR works, and of course how that kind of data also works. And an important part of that is the development and maintenance of community standards. There's a handbook which is linked to from the presentation, which tells you more about how communities work and so on and so forth, just to say that people can join communities. Each community has a page on the ELIXIR website. If you go to the How We Work section, I think it is on the ELIXIR website, you can find the list of communities. And if you want to join, you can do so. There's I think nearly always a join this community or join the mailing list link for each community. So that's these are all open to people to join if they have an interest. So the community I'm representing today is the systems biology community. So systems biology, to some extent, looks like a bit of an outlier, but we think it isn't. But nevertheless, it's not a pure data tools resource. It's a more complicated entity. And the reason why systems biology is now a community in ELIXIR is because we think it provides an integration layer for data and for tools and to understand biology better. So the whole point of course systems biology, of course, is to understand biology better by modeling explicitly, or maybe not always explicitly in AI contexts, and to bring together all the different biological entities from genes up to populations, indeed. So it's one way of organizing ELIXIR's data and services. And there are, of course, other aspects of systems biology nowadays which involve AI, but even there we're trying to understand biology, and there's it's an important system biology is an important way of linking everything together. It's also tied in with quite a wide range of communities. So the systems biology community has held a number of and we've managed to find a good number of other ELIXIR communities who have a direct interest in what we do. So it's clear that understanding how biology works at a sort of mathematical modeling level is something that is increasingly important in different parts of the ELIXIR landscape. So and another aspect here, which is the sort of the fifth bullet, is that there was a nascent S3 called ISBE, which was the aim was to form an infrastructure for systems biology. This never really took off. It didn't reach the sort of level of support that it needed. But we, as an S3 ELIXIR, decided that we really needed to do something which would support the perceived needs for systems biology for infrastructure. So this is part of the reason why the systems biology community exists. So we published a community white paper 2022. A recent revision has been published just recently. It's called Systems Biology and ELIXIR Modeling in the Spotlight. And what we tried to do there was to bring together all the arguments why we needed to support infrastructure development in systems biology, why this was relevant to ELIXIR, and what needed to be done. And this is quite a large scale conceptual exercise, because systems biology is a very broad topic. So we boil this down to two main aims. So first of all, to bring systems models to the center of ELIXIR's efforts and to integrate and interpret fair data. So fairness is something that is important to us. So fair is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. The FAIR principles, and fair in systems biology is something that is an in-progress thing, and we want to push that forward. And secondly, we wanted to facilitate the use of ELIXIR's data tools, interoperability, compute, and training resources by community participants, and also, of course, people outside ELIXIR. So by making use of our contacts outside ELIXIR, we want to spread the use of ELIXIR's resources. So the community was we started discussing this community in 2020. As ISBE, we could see, wasn't going to be continuing. We got approval for the community in 2021, and it started in 2022. So we're now in this. We started our first funded activities at the beginning of 2023. So we're in the sort of end of our second year of funded activities. So ELIXIR has, or I think that the name's now changed, but it used to fund things called implementation studies, which were activities that communities or groups of communities would carry out, and they were funded basically by ELIXIR to meet and to do useful activities that would drive the development of ELIXIR and of the community. ELIXIR communities generally received initial funding for 2 years, which is what we are currently in. And the idea that we've adopted for this was to try and very much scope out what we needed to do for the future. So we have 4 work packages in our implementation study, one about standards, models and tools. So we needed to identify barriers to fairness in systems biology and see where we needed to go next. I'm a co-lead of that. To help us do that, we have a use cases work package. So the idea is we have different areas of systems biology which need work that could throw up ideas and requirements to us to help us to understand how fairness could be improved. We have a training and capacity building work package. So this is about coordinating systems biology training, and an industrial and societal embedding work package. It's important to remember that systems biology is very closely linked to synthetic biology, and understanding how organism design takes place and fits into the industrial landscape is quite an important part of what we do. So we've had a number of meetings. We kicked off with a workshop on microbiome modeling. We've had workshops at various 2 ELIXIR all hands meetings. So in fact, it's actually 3. There should be 3. We had some this year as well. Starting off with metabolic modeling as a scaffold for data integration, which is one of our themes, of course. Microbiome is important to us. We had some biohackathon projects about synergizing biodot tools with tests, for example, and some pathway models for druggable cell type specific and druggable pathways. We have an upcoming, we had one workshop about fairness last year in September in Ljubljana, and we're going to have a second workshop in December where we're going to try and tie all this together and come up with some concrete outputs. So those of you who'd like to join us, please join the community mailing list. We hold regular calls on the 4th Monday of each month at 5 p.m. CEST, and anybody's welcome to join that. So that's all I wanted to say today to sort of introduce the community. So a few names of people who have made particular contributions and people who have helped us to set this up. But the link there is to our web page on the ELIXIR website, and please have a look at that. These are our members of one of our workshops, and this is the first webinar in a series we hope to organise to publicise systems biology related approaches in the context of ELIXIR.